DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one show, one daily masterclass, all under one umbrella that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to win the long race. Now, when I say the long race, this can be in business, this could be a career, a season in sports, a job, a relationship, a foot race, a bike race, a triathlon, anything that is long-term as far as you're concerned. How can you actually win these races? And when I say win, it doesn't necessarily mean about beating other people, but win in terms of creating the success that you want to create in the things that you do. Now, I talked about this long-term game from many different angles on the show in the past. I want to refer you to some previous episodes up front. Episode 314, How to Play and Win the Long Game of Life. Episode 254, Long-Term Success Requires Long-Term Work. Episode 232, How Long Are You Willing to Work Without Recognition? Episode 116, Winning in the Long Run. Episode number 1525, Long-Term Strategy, What Feels Good versus What Works. Episode number 1336, How to Play the Long Game Like a True Professional. If you haven't listened to any of those episodes before, or you can't remember everything that I said from any of them, make sure you go back and re-listen to all of those episodes. The links are down below in the show notes. Wherever you're listening to this, just scroll down and you'll see links to all of those episodes. You can click on them and listen to them directly right there. Or you always have the option of going to workonyourgamepodcast.com. Workonyourgamepodcast.com. You can listen to every episode in the history of the show all on one page. Now, before I get any further into this, let me remind you that I have a text line where you can text me and tell me the best thing you got from today's episode. If you have a follow-up question about anything that I said, or just maybe it's something you want me to talk about that maybe you haven't heard me talk about before, my number is 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Let's get right into it. Again, the topic today is how to win the long race. Point number one, preparation. You want to run a long race. If you're going to run a marathon, you probably want to train for that marathon. You want to get into a triathlon, you probably want to know how to ride a bike, and you probably need to learn how to swim. If you're going to have a long career doing a business, or you want your business to stick around for a long time, or you want to last a long time in any particular field, you're probably going to have to do some preparatory work before you get into it so that you're ready for the rigors of the job ahead of you. And the preparation is not only physical, but it's also mental. It's spiritual, it's emotional, it's knowing what's going to come, or at least having some idea for what's coming, at least being prepared for the fact that you might not know what's coming so that you'll be ready for that, whatever that surprise is going to be when it gets there. This is all part of preparation. Know what you're signing up for is the thing that you need to remember when it comes to preparation. What are you signing up for? What are you getting into? What can you be ready for? What can you not be ready for, but you at least know that something's coming? This is all part of your job. Especially when you're a professional at what you do. Professionals are always prepared. Amateurs just show up and maybe they're able to get away with it for some time just off of their talent, or maybe just off of luck, just off of good timing, but not for long. Professionals are always prepared. I remember I was in a group text with a couple people once, and somebody in a group text, we were talking about the topic of running had come up, even though not everybody in that group was even doing any running on a consistent basis. And somebody said, hey, let's all run a marathon. Let's just do this as a personal challenge within the people of the group. Let's all run a marathon. And I said to the individual who had offered the suggestion, because I know this person is not a runner, I said, man, you ain't running a goddamn thing. And we all laughed about that. And then he went and said, yeah, I can run a marathon. He pushed back and said, no, Jerry, I can run a marathon. And then I said, no, I told him that I didn't think it was possible he could do it. Then he said, oh, he thought a marathon was 6-ish miles. He didn't know that a marathon was actually 26.2 miles. Now imagine if this individual who thought a marathon was 6 miles signed up, then showed up to the race and found out that it was actually 4 times longer than he thought it was. I'm telling you that to tell you this. You can't win a long race in your life, in your business, in your career, if you don't even know how long the race is. This is part of your preparation. Part of your preparation is learning everything that you could know about what is coming up so that you're ready for it when you get there. Now, again, you might not be able to know everything. You might not be able to memorize the entire dictionary before you get there, but you could know. You want to be as ready as you could possibly be so that you could do your thing when you get there. You at least show as much of your game as you have, and then you learn along the way as you gain more activity knowledge. I remember when NFL player Randy Moss, a former NFL player now, Randy Moss got drafted into the NFL. He got drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, and Randy Moss was a wide receiver, and his teammate, or his soon-to-be teammate, was a guy named Chris Carter. And Chris Carter was also a wide receiver, but Chris Carter was already in the league. He was much older than Randy Moss. He was a veteran, a all-pro wide receiver. And Chris Carter and Randy Moss, I remember seeing this video back in the day. This is probably in the late 90s when Moss came into the league. And Chris Carter invited Randy Moss to, hey, come work out with me in the offseason, young fella, so I can help you get ready for the NFL. So you have an idea of what's coming, so you're ready for the rigors of this game. And Chris Carter, I remember seeing in this video, it's probably on YouTube somewhere, Chris Carter is talking, they're working on the field, doing their training, they're doing their sit-ups and running and sprints and catching balls and all that stuff. And Chris Carter's talking to him, telling him what's coming, telling him how to be ready, telling him how he got to prepare so he could do his thing in the NFL. And any of you who is a football fan or a Randy Moss fan, you know that Randy Moss damn well did do his thing in the NFL. Now, was Randy Moss a very talented wide receiver? Yes, he was. But Randy Moss was also very prepared. Randy Moss was super prepared when he got to the NFL because his teammate Chris Carter was making sure that new teammate Randy Moss knew the ropes, that he knew what game he was about to get into and what was going to be expected of him when he got out there on that field and started doing his thing. I remember there was this movie back in the 90s called White Men Can't Jump, and this was Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes, where these two black guy basketball players, they're like these basketball hustlers who would go around the basketball courts and play people in games and leagues and play for money. But one of the side stories of the whole movie, White Men Can't Jump, was that Woody Harrelson's character, he was married to this woman, I believe her name was Gloria, and Gloria was played by Rosie Perez. And Rosie Perez, her whole thing was she wanted to help herself and her husband get out of the hood, get out of the ghetto where they were living. She wanted to make a whole lot of money. So her idea was that she was going to try out for and go on Jeopardy, and she was going to win on Jeopardy and then win the money from Jeopardy and then help the family out with that. So one of the side stories of this whole movie, while the main story was this black guy going around playing in basketball leagues and tournaments and stuff and hustling people for money, was Rosie finally did make it on to Jeopardy. And when she got on to Jeopardy, she was just killing them. She dominated, she won, and she won the money. And the thing was, before she got on Jeopardy, all you saw her doing, every time Woody would come home from playing in his basketball game, doing his hustling, she was just reading books and studying and just learning everything she could possibly learn so that she would be as prepared as possible for being on Jeopardy. And then when she got on Jeopardy, she went on there and killed it. I'll tell you one more story about preparation. I remember when I was what year was this? This is my junior year of high school. I had to take chemistry. Now, why they had me take chemistry, I blame the American school system, that they have the standardized schooling system. They make every student take all the exact same classes, even though as human beings, we are all completely unique. Anyway, they forced me to take this chemistry class. Don't ask me to recall anything from this class. I remember absolutely none of it. I remember after the third marking period, we have 4 quarters of marking periods. After the third marking period, I had an F in the class. I was failing chemistry. And my mom noticed that I was failing chemistry. She was alarmed. She spoke to the chemistry teacher. This woman was named Miss Stubbs, the chemistry teacher at my high school. And my mom asked the chemistry teacher, well, first of all, why is my son failing? What's he not doing? Et cetera, et cetera. And then my mom finally asked her, okay, does he have a chance to pass? Is there anything that he can do in this last quarter of the school year to where he can bring that F up to a D so that he actually passes the class and he won't have to either take the class again or he won't have to go to summer school? And Miss Stubbs said, yeah, if his grades are high enough in the 4th quarter, then yeah, he can pass the class. So my mom decided to take control of the situation. So this is what she did. She started making me study with her every single day. This is my junior year of high school, making me study with her every single day so I could be as prepared as possible for these chemistry quizzes and tests. So I remember the first test that I took in chemistry class in the 4th period of the school year. Now, mind you, I've been failing all the tests all year. The first test that we took, I remember I was so prepared for that test because my mom, her background is as an educator. So she knows how to study. She knows how to help students study. She knows how to tutor, all that stuff. She's basically made me one of her tutoring students. And I was so prepared for that test that when the teacher handed out the test, I basically knew everything that was on it so well that I went through the whole test in like 8 minutes. So she hands out the test, and you know how it is in high school. They give a test in the class like chemistry. Everybody's looking at it and racking their brains, and our brains are sweating because we're trying to figure out how to answer these questions. And you take the whole 45-minute class to take the test. I finished the whole test in like, really, it was not even 8 minutes. It was like 5 minutes. I finished the whole thing, brought it up to the teacher, handed it to her. And she looked through it, she marked it, then she called me up to her desk. And she's just talking to me quietly because everybody's taking the test. And she said, "Who gave you the answers to the test?" And she was tongue-in-cheek asking me the question because I got so many questions right. And I was like, "Nobody, I just studied for the test." And she was like, "Man, you got a 94. It was like a 94 or something like that. And then she announced it to the whole class. She's like, "Dre got a 94 on the test." And everybody was like, "Wow." Now, mind you, I had been failing the tests all year long, but when I actually started preparing with someone who was a pro at preparing for tests, that's when I started doing really well on the test. Now, the unhappy ending to that class is that the bitch, Miss Stubbs, lied to my mom, and even though I was getting all those 90 pluses on all the tests the rest of the year, she still gave me an F in the class and I had to take summer school chemistry class. It was a complete joke, that summer school class. That's a different story for a different day. But anyway, I still graduated high school, so anyway. Preparation, again. You can't win a long race in life if you don't know how long the race actually is. If you don't know what is actually going to be demanded of you, there's no way for you to perform at your best. So your job is to figure out what is going to be demanded of you, what is going to be needed from you in order for you to give your best, and then be ready for that. The best way for you to do this, by the way, is to get with someone who has already been there, someone who's already been where you're going, who can tell you what's going to be expected of you, who knows what the ropes are so that you're ready when those calls start coming. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to win the long race. Expect peaks and valleys. Do not think that just because you're good, or just because you were good last time, or just because you're getting paid, or just because you got a lot of fans, that everything's just going to go smooth the entire time through. That's not the way it works in life. It's not the way it works in business. It's not the way it works in sports. It's not how it works in relationships. Can I get an amen? You will not feel great every day all the way through. There will be times when you're not feeling your coworkers, when you're not feeling your staff, you're not feeling your customers, you are not feeling your teammates, you're not feeling your coaches, you're not feeling your spouse, you are not feeling your kids, you are not feeling your parents, you're not feeling your boss, you're not feeling your teachers. There will be times you ain't feeling it, and there'll be times where they ain't feeling you. All right, this is all part of the game. All right, everybody understand this. There will be ups and downs. There will be times where you feel great, where you feel amazing. You could take on the world. You're like, damn, I wish I could feel like this all the time. I'll be doing everything every day. Understand something. Neither one of these feelings, when nobody's feeling you, you're not feeling them, or when you're feeling amazing, neither of these feelings last forever. They come and they go. Why is this? Because we call it life. It's just the yin and yang of life. It's just how it goes. Just the way that right now I'm looking out my window as I'm recording. There's a beautiful sunset happening in Miami, and there is nary a cloud, and the sky is a beautiful day. But earlier this morning, it was raining a little bit, and yesterday it was a damn thunderstorm at night. This is just how it is. All right, night follows day, rain follows sunshine. This is just the way that it works. If we had either one all the time, we would get bored with it, and we'd be trying to get the opposite. This is just how it goes. Sometimes you feel great, sometimes you won't. There will be peaks and valleys, but you as a professional, you understand that you're prepared for this long run. This is part of your preparation, is knowing that this is going to happen. Know this ahead of time so that you don't spiral out of control when either happens. I remember a wedding that I went to about 5 years ago. The pastor who was doing the wedding, he said to the couple as he was doing the whole process of the marriage, he was saying, listen, there'll be times where you have arguments. There'll be times when you two are not seeing eye to eye. You're going to have disagreements. You are not always going to it's not always going to feel great. But because you are saying these vows to each other, you are making a vow to work it out. You're making a vow to stick together. You're making a vow to see it through. This is part of the game, people. When you decide to get into a career or get into a business, or you decide you want to make yourself into a certain type of individual, or No bond. You want to tie your wagon, hit your wagon to something that you want to be a part of. You are saying a vow. You are making a marriage, and there will be peaks and valleys. You got to stick with it. Know this ahead of time, so when things ain't going right, you don't start thinking, all right, maybe I need to just get out of here. That's not the way it works. That's what amateurs do. Amateurs just cut bait when things stop working. Professionals work it out. When you know that the third day is coming, you don't contemplate quitting. What you do, you contemplate, how do I handle it? And then you get it better the next day. Then you show up ready to go the next opportunity. You work it out. You figure that situation out. You stay in it. You stay in the trenches, and you work through those valleys so you can get back to the next peak. Again, as a professional, this is your job. The amateur can just quit. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to win the long race. Number 3, manage your energy. This goes hand in hand with point number 2, which is why it's point number 3. Long races in life require a steady energy stream dispersed over a long period of time. If any of you have ever done a long race, such as a marathon, a triathlon, any of those things, is a steady stream of energy that you need, and you disperse it over a long period of time. So those are not fast twitch muscle events. Those are, I don't even know what you call it. You just need that long-term energy. Whatever they call that, that's what you need in order to do a long race. To have a long career is not you having a great burst just 1 year and then being average all the other years, and you probably won't last. It's you being at that level, that peak level, consistently, every single day delivering. That's what makes you a pro. Again, what makes you a pro is not your ability and what you have the potential to do, is what you do on a consistent basis. Aristotle said you are what you continually do. Can't use up too much energy in any one spurt, lest you won't have any energy left for another period when you need it. I'll tell you another story. Magic Johnson, basketball player for the Lakers back in the day. Some of you weren't even alive when Magic was playing. Actually, many of you probably weren't. But Magic, when he first came into the NBA, 1980, he's playing with the LA Lakers in their very first game of the season. He passes the ball into, is late in the game, is a very close game. The Lakers are down. Magic passes the ball into Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was the star player on the Lakers at the time, one of the greatest players of all time. Kareem makes a shot at the buzzer for the Lakers to win the game. First game of the season, Magic's first game of his career. Magic Johnson, this rookie, this upstart, high-energy rookie, goes and runs into Kareem's arms, jumps on him, and he's screaming and yelling and hooting and hollering, all excited about the Lakers winning this game at the buzzer, which makes sense, right? He's excited about his team winning the game. Kareem says to Magic, he pushes Magic off him and says, young fella, you got to calm down. We got 81 more of these that we need to play. It's an NBA season, 82 games. Kareem was letting Magic know, like, yeah, it's cool that we won the game, and yes, it was a big shot that I made, but we got to play 81 more of these games. We can't go jumping all around and running all around every time we win a game, and we can't go beating ourselves up every time we lose a game. We need a steady stream of consistent energy in order to do what we got to do here at the pro level. He was letting Magic know, all right, this is part of the preparation. Mentally, you got to understand peaks and valleys. Another story I'll tell you. I ran a 10K race back in April of 2021, and I felt like in that race, now I ended up coming in first in my age group, yay me, but in that race, I felt like I pushed a little bit too hard in the first mile or two, because any of you who's ever ran a race like that, you know when the race first starts, you got this big mass of people because everybody started at the same time. So now you're like ducking and dodging in between people, especially if you plan on running pretty fast. You're dodging in between people. You're just trying to separate yourself from the pack so you can actually get yourself some space to run. And because of the race, you got the adrenaline going, so you're pushing probably a little bit harder than you would during your training runs when you're just running by yourself. So in that race, I felt like I pushed a little bit too hard in the first couple of miles. And had I just paced myself and gone a little bit more easy, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar told Magic at the beginning of the race, I would have had more energy at the end of the race, and I could have actually gone even faster and maybe come in at a higher place overall. I think I was 9th overall, first in my age group, but I could have came in maybe in the top 5 overall, maybe faster than some of the people who are a little bit faster than me had I had more energy at the end, but I felt like I used a little bit too much at the beginning. So this is the point of managing your energy, pacing yourself. And this is something that you have to understand before you start. Because once you get in it and you start using up all your energy at the beginning, or you can't just say, all right, let me take that energy back. No, you already used it. Now, you can get the energy back, but you might not be able to get it back that quickly, especially in a short-term situation. Let's say like a race is going to last an hour. In the basketball season, I think Magic he found his footing. But you get what I'm saying here. Managing your energy for the long race. Don't use too much at the beginning. Save it so that at least you got something that you can finish out with. And I told you in episode number, let me tell you what episode that was. Episode number 1044, how to finish the marathon strong. In episode 926, how to finish stronger than you started. So if you want to finish stronger than you started, that means you can't use up too much of your energy up front. You got to know how long the race is, so you know how much you can dole out now, you can ration out now, and then you got some left for the end of the game. Recapping today's class, which is how to win the long race. This can be in business, career, seasons, job, relationships, anything that is long term. Point number 1, preparation. Know what you're signing up for. All right, I had a friend who said, let's run a marathon. He thought a marathon was 6 miles. Imagine if he had signed up and then found out that it was 26.2 miles. You can't win a long race if you don't know how long the race is. Point number 2, expect peaks and valleys. You will not feel great every day. There will be times you're not feeling it. You're not feeling the people around you. There will be times the people around you are not feeling you. And there will be times where you feel amazing and everybody around you feels amazing and the energy is perfect. Neither one of them will last forever. Know this ahead of time so that when it does happen, when you do hit that third day, you work it out. You don't think about quitting. Point number 3, manage your energy. Long races require a steady energy stream, outputted over a long period of time, dispersed over a long period of time. Don't use up too much energy in one spurt, because then you won't have any energy left for the end. Same thing Kareem told Magic Johnson, hey, we got 81 more of these games to play. Don't get so excited over one game. And if we lose, don't get so dejected over that game. We got to do this every single night. That's what makes a professional. Know what your energy is, manage that energy, and be prepared up front so you know how much you can put out at the beginning, in the middle, and also make sure you got a kick ready for the end. Send me a text. Tell me the most valuable insight you got from today's masterclass. My number, 305-384-6894. Again, 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre all day.